Well, sometimes you have to deal with a result that hurts like a colossal hemorrhoid. To be honest, when it got to the dying embers of this game, I'd accepted that Chelsea weren't going to make to the final of the League Cup, and I was kind of I made peace with it. I was actually relatively pleased with Rosenior's approach. He went for the whole prime Jose Mourinho approach away from home setup. It even reminded me of like Antonio Conte against Spurs when he brought off Hazard and Costa off the bench. We were a goal down in the Carabao Cup semi-final after the home leg. We're a goal down going away from home to what can only be described as an excellent team in Arsenal. A team that's been coached by a manager for 6 or 7 years. But despite that, and despite us, being the outsiders and it being against the odds, you sort of always give Chelsea a chance. And we had a chance in this game, and we'll crack into it. Rosenior switched it up. Had this finished, 0-0 after extra time and, gone on to penalties and we lost or something, I would have still been okay with how he set up. Of course, they scored a late goal through Kai Havertz. It was classic, having to go for it, vulnerable in transition. We were going out anyway, so, obviously you don't want to see an ex-player score. But that was kind of, there was like little moments. We're going to get into it, guys. Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. We will speak about the game plan. I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Liam Rosenior because of some of the performances of the players he brought on, and like there was moments that weren't great, and I think in time these kind of game plans will work. But we're going to get into it, guys. Thank you for joining me. For those of you on YouTube, please do consider liking and subscribing to support me as a content creator. It does help. You can do it on Spotify too by following and 5-starring Football Therapy Podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts as well. So thanks for your continued support. There will be other games where we win, and I will cover them. Alright. Well, like I said, it is a real hemorrhoid losing to Arsenal. You could see how much it meant to Mikel Arteta. This is the first final he's made with them for 6 years. Shall I let the cat in? She's at the door. Come on then. Lighten up the mood. Oh, okay. Don't then. Do what you want. Yeah, his first final, there was like loads of Viagra jokes about Arteta because he couldn't get past the semi, which is great fun. But he's got past this semi. Pause. And he's done it by basically defending well and sort of having to learn about what Rosenior brought, which is a different approach. Remember the first leg, we lost 3-2 the first leg. And I'm sorry because he's been very good, but you need context in the tie. Rob Sanchez chucked a couple in. Basically, we win that. If he was let's compliment Rob Sanchez. If he's been playing like he has, one sec. If he'd been playing like he has most of the season, like having a good game, we win 2-1 at home. And then maybe we defend to the 0-0 in this second leg and we win and we go through, which would have been prime Jose Mourinho. And it is really worth talking about prime Jose Mourinho attempt because this is what he did, and Rosenior, the Chelsea manager, and I fully endorse it. He didn't do any of this Cucurella and Reece James as centre-backs. I mean, Hato is meant to be a sort of centre-back as well. So you could say 3 centre-backs there, best available. In Hato, Chalobah, and Fofana. Gusto and Cucurella, who I think both had a good game. And a midfield 3 of Santos, Fernandez, and Caicedo. And if you look at that there, it's a line of green on SofaScore, for those of you looking at the video. It's a line of green from the Chelsea midfielders. It was the classic 4-3-3 that Rosenior expected from Mikel Arteta. And Liam Delap, he's looked here as like a sort of right forward in a front two, but he really actually was playing like a right wing, which Liam Rosenior has deployed Liam Delap as a right winger before, back when he coached him at Hull. So if we look at Liam Delap's heat map here, yeah, look, that's not a right centre forward in a 4-4-2 or 3-5-2. That is a right winger. And you'll see a lot of heat maps from Enzo Fernandez in the sort of left winger, but sometimes tucking in that midfield 3. But you would have had width kept from Cucurella. And Joao Pedro would have been everywhere. In that first half, Joao Pedro, I know he's got a relatively poor rating here on SofaScore at 6.3, but in that first half, his hold-up play was excellent, considering it was a very, very, like, functional game plan from Rosenior's Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a sort of defend well, play through them at times, and we're going... Essentially, Reece James, for context, and Pedro Neto didn't pass fitness tests, which both pretty big misses, especially when you consider, you know, Gittins and Garnacho have been very poor for us. Someone having an extra senior person like Neto, especially someone that can run devastatingly fast on the break, is a bit of a miss, you must say. So in terms of what was available, no Reece James, of course, is our captain and an excellent player. Esteval's just come back from, like, I don't know if it was compassionate leave, but let to go to Brazil for personal reasons. He came back. Palmer's still trying to find his way back. So the idea is you bring these guys off the bench. They both came on exactly on the hour mark. And like I said, this is Conte, Mourinho stuff. Get them tired, be robust, you're away from home, kill the crowd, kill the atmosphere, make them nervy, make them frustrated. We're the underdogs. Right, bang. See if we can punch you towards the end. And in terms of the game plan, I fully endorse it. I really, really do. It was the right thing to do, in my opinion, especially right now when this team graduates, this Chelsea team graduates to becoming better and just developing together. Then, you know, you can just go to the Emirates and try and punch him in the face a bit more. But considering the context of everything, I was quite pleased with how he set up. Of course, it didn't work, though. If you look at the attacking momentum meter, for those of you looking at the screen here, I mean, look, player of the match they gave to Kai Havertz purely because he scored a goal. He didn't do anything else. And the goal he scored was on the break when there was no defenders up there because we had to go for it in the final minutes. So it wasn't like he even did some excellent play. That's why you can't always read into these player of the matches so on certain websites, because you know he comes on late and literally just scores a goal on the break when there's no defenders up there. But you know, he's a great player, Kai Havertz. I certainly think he's infinitely better than Victor Gyökeres, who started and he had one touch in like the first 33 minutes or something. So Kai Havertz is, you know, I think the best choice for Arteta's striker. What do you want, this bloody cat? What do you want, mate? I'm filming about a Chelsea loss. And I'm trying... Look, okay, or whatever. Yes. What am I talking about? Yeah, look at the momentum. So, there was lots of Chelsea momentum. As in having the ball. Considering it was quite a passive setup, functional from Chelsea. There was little to no... I'll just spat on my freaking screen. Little to no Arsenal pressure, really. Like, really, to be honest. I thought it was generally pretty good from Chelsea. Let's have a look at the statistics before we speak about players and stuff. Wow, so Chelsea had more possession at the Emirates. They had two big chances to our one, but one, of course, would have been that Kai Havertz goal on the break when they were all at the pitch at the end. I mean, look at this. 14 shots to their 5. Like, you know, I don't want to discount the Kai Havertz goal because it rather sealed the result for Arsenal. It was hugely important, but it was obviously a game state thing because of where all the players were. So in terms of normal play, you know, you'd say a big chance each. Chelsea have edged the possession. 2 goalkeeper saves to our 1. 5 corner kicks to their 2. Maybe Rosenior will be disappointed with how this turned out. We could look at the player performances because of that. But to outshoot them. So yes. Yeah, exactly that. So they had a big chance in the first half. We had a big chance in the second half. And of course the last one was the Kai Havertz one in the final seconds. Look at that second half. 11 shots to their 2. 11 shots to their 2. But winning's what matters, not these statistics. So let's talk about player performances. Rob Sanchez in goal. I think he made a couple of iffy decisions, but I think he was fine, wasn't he? I don't think he did anything really wrong. You can't like any of the defenders, really. Wesley Fofana actually had a couple of chances to score. There was a very interesting situation in this game where when Arsenal had a corner, 3 Chelsea players would run up, and everyone didn't know what the hell was going on. So Arsenal players would have to chase them up because you couldn't, because obviously there's a man-to-man thing on corners. You can't just leave 3 guys running away. It was very risky for a game that was doing a lot of low-risk functional setup from Rosenior, at least for the first hour. Get to the hour and 0-0, tired legs, bring on Estevao and Cole Palmer. Like, that was clearly the game plan. It was an old-school style Mourinho game plan, but that was the game plan, which was quite risk-averse for the first hour. But despite that, like, that corner defending routine of sending the 3 guys up, pulling the 3 Arsenal players out with you, was quite risky, because even though you're lessening the amount of players in the box, you're actually creating more space in the box as well. So you could say to clear, but also for Arsenal players to score. I'm not sure how much I liked that. It was certainly very interesting. In terms of other player performances, yeah, I think the whole midfield line was good, to be honest. Liam Delap, he's catching a lot of heat when I did my halftime Instagram live. But, he was literally being farmed out there. Look at his heat map. It was literally do a job for the team, just be physical, be robust, beat him up a little bit. You're not really going to have a chance to score or do anything, and essentially you're going to be a placeholder until Estevao comes on, basically. That was always going to be the plan. Joao Pedro, a few good touches, a few good moments. His hold-up play was the best part of his game. Close moments to essentially being, I don't know, a flick away from playing someone in and scoring, I suppose. I do agree with the highest Chelsea ranked player here being probably our best performer, and Enzo Fernandez, probably because of the work rate. He just never stops. He's just everywhere. Look at his passes, absolutely everywhere. 58. Look at this. Hold on, I'm going to show you this. So, only 3 accurate crosses, but when you're playing so functionally like that, it's not like you're spraying to wingers all the time, and he was actually in the left wing position a lot of the time. But 100% long ball accuracy, passes in his own half 100%, passes in opposition half still 93%, with an average passing accuracy away at the Emirates of 95%, with 55 passes completed. That's it's pretty good, and he still made 2 key passes, which is creative. So I did think Enzo Fernandez played really well. But you got to look at this. This is essentially where it went wrong. Do you know what I mean? Because the plan was the plan. And I think it was probably the correct good plan. But with that, I think Achampong wasn't necessarily meant to come on for Gusto. I think Gusto might have been cooked. But, it was always going to be one midfielder off for a winger, and I guess Garnacho was the guy. And the 60-minute plan, this was the real ace up the sleeve. It's Estevao and Palmer, and you need these guys to come on and cook. Estevao on the left wing initially didn't work. Of course, he got him as booking, and that's when Rosenior thought, we got to get him on his favoured side quickly. And he switched it over, of course. Santos coming off made Garnacho go to that side. Estevao moved over, and Cole Palmer went from, I believe, right wing to number 10. And, this is the problem. Garnacho has been very poor. He deserved the chance here purely because of what he did in the first leg. But, we've seen Garnacho perform very poorly, very recently. But really, you're sort of banking on Steve and Palmer cooking. And they didn't cook, really. So, it is what it is. It's a sort of nearly story. The Sky Sports commentary team kept talking about how, Rosenior's plan was good, it nearly worked, but didn't. Do you know what I mean? Which is pretty much fair enough. It sucks losing to Arsenal. They've reached their first final in 6 years, which is pretty wild to hear. They have a chance to go on and play either Man City or Newcastle. They will meet a very beatable opponent in the final. To be honest, everyone's beatable at the moment, Even Arsenal, that's what the frustrating thing about this was. But anyway, it sucks, but I'm not totally crestfallen about it. I'm hardly going to dig out this Chelsea team or Rosenior, considering where everything is at the moment developmentally. So it's kind of bad, but I sort of will accept it. Do you know what I mean? I'm hardly going to get really, really emotional about this. I do want to win a domestic trophy, though. We're still in the FA Cup. I would prefer to win the FA Cup over the Carabao Cup. But we haven't won the Carabao Cup in over 10 years. And we haven't won the FA Cup in 9 years. So I'd really not... the FA Cup's a bigger trophy. I don't want to go a decade without winning it. But we'll have to see. I would prefer to win the FA Cup. But I don't want to act like sour grapes at all, because I would have loved to have won the Carabao Cup. So, congratulations to Arsenal. They are well overdue a final under Arteta. Well overdue, and they finally got to one. So, we'll see what happens with them, and we'll refocus on Chelsea and the development of Liam Rosenior's side, and see where we go from here. Thanks for joining me, guys. Keep it locked, and I will bring you all the new stuff. All the new stuff regarding Chelsea. So, stick with me. See you soon. Commiserations to all the Chelsea fans out there.